Okay, got it.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Leonard Peltier's Tati Wakua Book Club. Tonight, our special guest is Nick Juno. He's a folk singer from Michigan, and he was born in Flint. And he began playing the guitar in the early 1980s. And he was heavily influenced by the likes of Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan, just to name a couple. And he's a longtime Leonard Peltier supporter. And he also wrote a song for Leonard. And welcome, Nick. It's good to have you here tonight.
Thanks so much. It's great. It's great to be here. I'm really excited and kind of overwhelmed because it's such a big deal what you're doing. And hang on, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. No, it's great. I'm so, like I said, I'm super happy to be here, and I'm so impressed with what you're doing with the book club and all the whole movement. So it's so important. I think it's great.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you here. Well, I thought we could start out asking you just a few questions. I was just wondering, when did you start writing?
I've always kind of messed around with writing, and I always grew up as a little kid loving, going to the library and reading stories and history, and I love the songs, the old-fashioned songs that tell a story. So that's the folk music. That's why I was drawn to folk music, because the music could be simple, but it's a story behind it, whether it's the old murder ballads or, the fight against the machine or, something like that. And I've been drawn to that. So, a Woody Guthrie or, the Bob Dylan type thing, I'm all about that.
Yeah. When you write a song, do you write the lyrics first or the music?
It comes together. Usually the idea, what happens is, a lot of my songs are right out of the newspaper or out of the news or something I heard. Maybe it's an old story out of the history books, and it hits me, and then I'm kind of like a dog, and I just work on it and come up with something. So my songs are about, I spent some time in the Marine Corps right after high school in the 80s, so I write about that. But I was stationed in Hawaii. It was a total...
Nick? Can you guys hear him? I can't hear him.
I can't hear him.
Okay, let's see.
Stories, or I think important stories that need to be told. That's what I do.
Oh, awesome. How old were you when you started playing?
I picked up the guitar in the Marine Corps at 17. And there's always one laying around, and guys would pass it around and teach each other 3-chord songs. And I just took right to it and learned a bunch of the old stuff and kind of started writing my own stuff right away. Yeah.
So you were self-taught?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you play any other instruments other than the guitar?
A little harmonica, the old, harmonica stuff.
Awesome.
Nothing fancy, nothing like that.
How did you become aware of Leonard Peltier in his case?
Well, it's one of those funny things. I remember hearing about it a long time ago. I'm 58 and got out of high school in 81. And it's one of those names in the orbit that you hear and you're aware of, but unfortunately a lot of people forget because there's so much going on and it gets away from you. Well, last year on Leonard's birthday, a local musician, Joe Kidd, who performs with Joe Kidd and Sheila Burke, and he's an author and an artist and a poet and a musician. On Leonard's birthday, he wrote something like, well, here it is, Leonard's birthday again, and he's still languishing in prison. And if you're a poet or an artist or a painter or a songwriter, there's something you can do. Even if it's little, just do something. No one knows what the straw will be that breaks the camel's back of movement. So everyone needs to do something. And I thought, well, I remember this. What's this? And I started looking it up online, and I immediately was drawn to Leonard's book, Prison Writings, My Life is My Sundance. And the more I read, the more upset I got. And then I read The Spirit of Crazy Horse, cover to cover twice. And I'm like, this can't be, this didn't happen. And then I just read Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And I'm like, this is, and again, I'm just, I have no other connection to Leonard at all. Just as an American kid looking around and seeing and thinking, how can this happen, right? And
yeah.
So being in Michigan, I grew up with in a place where words like Ojibwe and Chippewa and Potawatomi and Huron, if you're not really paying attention and you're just going through life, that's like stop sign, Coca-Cola bottle, left foot. But those are real words with real meanings and real like heritage and life behind them. And so I'm very interested in that and want to find out more about it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. Presently, we're reading In the Spirit of Crazy Horse. We're almost to the end of it, but
Yeah. Right.
it's last week was so heavy. I don't know about for the rest of you, but it's, I mean, every time I read a chapter, I just either get angry or I get sad. It's like, it's unbelievable. And I mean, just the fact that it was vetted by the court, so it's true.
Yep.
I mean, it was in litigation for 9 years. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
It is so unbelievable. And so what I do is, by the way, when I sing this song tonight, by the way, the song I wrote for Leonard, I call it Leonard Peltier is Still Serving Time, because I wanted to just the title just to get what I'm saying. And I realized that from reading his book, Leonard says, and you all know this, that, you know, you don't really serve time when you're doing life in prison. Life does you, because your family and your life is moving away from you off the horizon. But I call it Leonard Peltier is Still Serving Time, artistic license, like that. But I wrote it just to tell, because and again, I didn't write the story or the song for the people on this group. I wrote it for the guys who had never even heard of Leonard Peltier. I mean, everyone on this call, they know the story. They're part of the story, where I can tell this story to people that's never even heard of Leonard. And in 3 minutes, I can maybe plant a seed to think, oh, yeah, if you ever see it on the news or something, wow, that's what they're talking about. Yeah, I've heard of that, you know. So that's what, and I'm inspired by that, by Buffy St. Marie, the amazing folk singer, songwriter, you know, musician. Her song, Little Wheel, Spin and Spin, Big Wheel, Turn Around and Around. And I thought, that's kind of a great way to look at life. Like, we're all little wheels and we all spin and spin, and it moves the whole universe.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I think it's so important. I oftentimes, like, I think about it, and I always knew about Leonard's story, but I'm shocked when people haven't heard about it. And it's been so long that some people have forgotten. I remember a time when you could just say Free Leonard and everyone knew who you were talking about.
Yep.
And so, I mean, just you sharing his story in a way that other people will begin to learn about it, I think is really important.
I appreciate that. And that's what I want to do, because like when I play a show, and I have no crazy ideas of what I play for 5 people or 50 or 100 people at a coffee house or a rock and roll show. I used to open for punk bands back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it was like total punk rock, but I would get out there with my guitar and do my song. It'd be like a break in between like thrashing punk rock and then my songs. And then back to, but we're saying the same kind of thing, just in a different way. And their song might be like, and I'm saying, you know, what I'm saying, and you can hear it. But it's, so anyway, yeah. So like I tell this song, because I really want people to walk away with this. And I have a song about, you know, opioid overdose and using Narcan and how Narcan should be everywhere. Like it should be everywhere there's a smoke detector, because it's.
What? Happened? Mike took a dump again.
I think you cut out, Nick. Could you say something? See if I can hear you.
I hear you now.
Okay.
I think my internet zapped out or something.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Sassy, go ahead.
Oh no, we would love to hear you play. So
yes,
we'd love it if you could sing for us.
Leonard Peltier, Still Doing Time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let me play this for a second and tell me if you can hear this. These Zoom calls are like not very friendly to like the guitar thing. It's, let's see if this works. Can you hear that? Okay. Yeah, it's always touch and go with these things. You never know. But so here's the song in honor of Mr. Leonard Peltier, and I hope his freedom comes soon, very soon. One morning on the reservation, two cars came roaring in hot pursuit. They're looking for Jimmy Eagle and some stolen cowboy boots. One thing leads to another, just like that, the lead begins to fly. Now there's one dead Oglala man, and there's two dead FBI. So over the hill comes the cavalry, they're gonna round up everyone. But they had knelt and prayed and made a getaway through a culvert on the run. The cops are beating down the bushes, hounds are running back and forth. Somehow Leonard.
What happened? Shit. We can't hear you again.
Are you,
Acquitted. So why is Leonard Peltier still serving time? Isn't justice meant to make amends, or is justice sometimes just revenge? Don't you think he's been there long enough? It's time to set him free. Now two wrongs don't make a right, and every dog will have his day. But see, two agents were killed out there.
Dang. We can't hear you again.
From the roof, I've heard justice is blind. Maybe blind, but I know that she can hear. Leonard scratching off the calendar, the weeks and months and years. So maybe just getting even's what it's really all about. Still it's cold and dark and lonely, they're in that shadow of a doubt. Once three men stood suspected of the very same crime. Then two men get acquitted. So why is Leonard Peltier still serving time? Isn't justice meant to make amends, or is justice sometimes just revenge? Don't you think he's been there long enough? It's time to set him free.
bravo.
That was great.
That was excellent. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank
Gets
you.
people thinking there, huh?
Yeah, that's the idea. Like, it just tells the story. All I did was write down basically what happened to this man and the others, and Joe Killswright's stunts and the two agents, and what I learned, and I always tell people, is like, people are like, well, yeah, but you know, two agents were killed. I said, well, you don't even know what happened on Pine Ridge, and what is it, 50, 60 or more people over the previous years, and all that. When the more people hear that, they're like, well, yeah, I guess it's all in context, right? It's from the outside looking in. It's easy to say, well, this is a police shootout or whatever, but people have got to hear the story. That's what I say.
Yeah, so I would actually love to hear, you mentioned that you also wrote a song about the opioid crisis. I think that has touched almost everybody's lives. I actually lost two nieces to it in the past 6 years. So it's very close to my family. And I think that, you know, I would really love to hear that song that you mentioned, if you wouldn't mind playing another song for us.
You know, I had lost the audio on that. I didn't hear much.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was just saying that I would love, you mentioned that you wrote another song about the opioid crisis. And I've actually, yeah, so I actually lost two of my nieces to it in the last 6 years.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That is,
Thank you.
yes, there's a musician here in Detroit a number of years ago, lost a very good friend to something like that, and he began a crusade of doing Narcan instruction, and he got involved with some of the pharmaceutical companies, and they donated boxes of it to him, and he would take them and give classes. Like, this is very common now, but it did years ago. It wasn't as common, and he wanted people to get this out there and know what it is. Like, every bar should have it. Every late night food places again. And the idea of, like, to me, it's like if you're at a swimming pool and someone's drowning in the deep end and there's the life ring on the side of the fence, could you not at least throw it to them? So that's what this is. Narcan can give someone a chance. If you get it to them quick enough, it can reverse the effects of the opioid overdose and maybe buy some time. Again, not judging. This is somebody's niece and nephew. This is some.
No.
Oops.
Oh.
Oops.
Nick, would you, it shows that you're muted. Could you unmute, please? Thank you.
Did you hear any of what I just, I don't know when did it mute?
You just after the you were talking about the life preserver.
Oh yeah, so the life preserver. I'll say, where was I? Oh yeah, so the idea that Narcan is like it should be available everywhere. And we're not judging people. This is people's brothers and sisters and niece and nephew and parents and children. And so the idea is that this little thing, Narcan, I thought of that like, this is like a little angel that flew down from heaven to save people. Then I thought, no, it's more like an archangel that came to fight death. And as a songwriter, I thought of Archangel and Narcan, and I call this song Narc Angel.
Oh, and for those of you who don't know, Narcan is a medication that will reverse the effects of the
overdose.
Opioid
Overdose. Yes. So this song is called Narc Angel. Here it goes. One second, please. When the doctor's writing out your pain prescription, if you only knew what that really meant, you'd be getting out your own ink pen, writing your last will and testament. Narc Angel, Narc Angel, swing low, Narc Angel, somebody's lying on the floor. So many times it seems happens like this. You get hurt, you're out of work, but you still got bills to pay, and you run out of your script. Seem like a curse, still need a fix, only gonna get worse. And those things you swear you'd never do, now somebody else not standing in these shoes. Narc Angel.
It's getting hot in here. Oops.
And those things you swear you'd never do, now somebody else not standing in these shoes. Narc Angel. My granddaddy died in a coal mine. Daddy died working for the trade. I'm lying here on this dirty bathroom floor, my life slowly spinning down a drain. My granddaddy died in a coal mine. Daddy died working for the trade. I'm lying face down on this dirty bathroom floor, my life slowly spinning down the drain. Narc Angel, Narc Angel, Narc Angel, swing low, Narc Angel. Somebody's lying on the floor. Narc Angel.
That was great.
Yeah, and again, the idea is it's like I kind of want to punch people to say, look, you got to hear you got to learn what this is, and you got to help people, and you know, and that's kind of what that is. But it's
my sister-in-law so this is the thing, my sister-in-law, it was both of her children. She had 2 daughters. She lost both of them to the overdose. So she's raising her grandchildren. They were both very young mothers. But so she started, when she wrote the obituary for her first daughter who passed away, it was just very blunt and very, you know, she was very honest about how she died and why she died. And so it went super viral. And so due to that, she started a group on Facebook. It's called Not in Vain. And it's just for mothers who've lost children to overdose. And she has thousands and thousands of members of the group now. They take trips together. They are very supportive of one another. They just put a book out. I think last year, the year before, they put a book out. They do fundraisers and stuff. So it is a not-for-profit now. And, you know, they're trying to get the word out as well about Narcan and everything else. So there's a program. So she's actually in Toledo, Ohio. And the program there that started, and I've forgotten the name of it, but there was a program that started, and it was started because of her one daughter. A police officer got involved in helping her and trying to get her off the streets, and, you know, got involved and they started a program out there about, you know, basically, you know, for Narcan and everything else. So I know a lot of people out in that area, it's very prevalent. You know, drugs are very prevalent in Toledo.
And we're finding that it's everywhere, all walks of life, all demographics, rich, poor, everyone in between. And the problem with the opioid and the fentanyl now, it's in all kinds of drugs that people don't expect it. And some kids think they're buying one thing, and if it has fentanyl, they're not thinking they're overdosing on an opioid type thing, and no one's ready for it. And so the people, they don't even know how to treat it almost. So it's such a mess, such a mess.
The older of my nieces, the one who passed away just a couple of years ago, she had kidney stones, I think it was. So she wouldn't even take, because she'd been clean for a few years, so she wouldn't take pain pills. And she took what she thought was an ibuprofen or something like that, and it was a full fentanyl. Oh God. It was like fully fentanyl. So she died instantly. So sorry for bringing the whole group down. You know, so that type of thing is obviously, I think most people have somewhere in their family, or no, everybody's family is touched by this crisis, I think.
It really is.
For the most part. Yeah. So I love folk music, and I'm sort of music industry adjacent. So I have friends, I live in Atlanta, and I have friends in the music industry in Nashville. So pre-pandemic, I was up there like 3-4 times a year, you know, and stuff like that. So a lot of friends in the country music industry. I've got some friends that play at the Grand Ole Opry. They're regulars there and stuff. Yeah.
That's big.
So I love songwriter style, like the storytelling that, and of course I'm Canadian, so, you know, obviously, you know, huge fan of my God, how have I forgotten his name? Suddenly, Gordon Lightfoot. Right? He's like huge.
There's so many great Canadians, from the absolutely. Yeah.
So very much love that style.
Yeah.
That
is, and again, and that's why, again, like I'm drawn to this type of music, because again, it's out of the newspaper, the stories, and it's also I write songs from talking to people. I'll do another song if you don't mind.
Please.
This is a song about when I came out of the Marine Corps in '85. I started waiting tables in a restaurant in downtown Flint, and in the
post him again.
Can you hear him?
His internet.
This one guy. Is it? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yeah.
We can hear you now.
Yeah. So I was saying that this song was about a man I met who was working in the restaurant. He was scrubbing pots in the kitchen of the restaurant I worked at, and he had done some time in the state penitentiary here in Michigan, and he told me this would have been like in the late 80s, and he did like 18 or 20 years, and he got out, and so much had changed, and he was really like kind of like that, like in the song of like what Leonard talks about in the prison writings, how your family is moving away and life is moving away from you. And it's so I wrote it, and there's a line of the song that says, hard to catch up when you fall so far behind. And so this is a story, it's kind of funny because life does change, but he had mentioned he went to a record store to buy a record, and the clerk told him they weren't making LP records anymore because it was all CDs at the time. You couldn't believe that because, like that. So that's, now they're making them again. They're very popular again. So the song's already out of fashion, but I don't care. So this song is called Hard to Catch Up. Maurice spent 4 years in the penitentiary. 6 months of that he spent in quarantine, where he could not shave and he hardly had a change of clothes. When he eventually found a mirror, he was afraid. Well, the bus stopped for an hour in downtown Detroit. He had time to kill in hard currency in his hand. It was there he had a vision of an ice cold soda pop. So he walked across the lobby to buy a can. He stepped up to this flashy red and white oblong box. It looked strange, he couldn't find the quarter slot. A little girl was standing there behind him, so he let her go ahead and he watched. Life moves along, it's rolling down the line, and it's hard to catch up when you've been doing time. Yes, life moves along, it'll leave you behind, and it's hard to catch up when you fall so far behind. He'd been home a while when he walked into the record store. He came to buy Anita Baker's new release. When he asked the clerk about the album he was looking for, the young man stood there and laughed at old Maurice. Maurice got mad, shook his head and said, "What you laughing about?" The young man said, "They're not making LP records anymore. Life moves along, it's rolling down the line, and it's hard to catch up when you fall so far behind. Yes, life moves along, it'll leave you behind, and it's hard to catch up when you've been doing time. Yes, life moves along, it's rolling down the line, and it's hard to catch up when you fall so far behind."
It was excellent.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I love that song. That was
Well,
really
thank
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
So now do you have any of your stuff recorded?
I do. Yeah, actually, I have a little website, and it's, the whole COVID thing blew everybody up. I haven't really updated it much, but it's it's junomusic.info. It's a little website I have, and there's a link to a record I made a number of years ago, and there's some songs on there. They're all story songs like that. I'm no rock star, like special like bass player. I'm just a little folky like that.
No, I love it. I love it. I actually collect records, so if you did have an LP, I would buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not making us. Yeah.
Yeah. I have about close to 1,000 now, I think, or something. So got a fair amount. Yeah. So now how did you, now do you, do you do this full time, or is this something you do on the side?
Oh no, I only play maybe, you know, once or two times a month, not very often, here in Detroit. What I like, my kind of stuff lends to be in a coffee shop or in a place where people have, or like little, like there's some music theaters around the Detroit area where people come and they want to hear this. Like, and I have also played places like where there's a pool table in front of the stage and they're like, yeah. And that doesn't work as well because you're trying to tell the story before the song starts, and
Right.
none of that's going to happen. So I don't play very often, but it's enough. It's enough. I drive a truck, semi truck about a day, and do this once in a month, so it's no big deal.
Oh, that's nice. So, have you done any like collaborations with anybody in the
No,
past?
I really haven't. I wanted to be in a band, but I never had the time or, and again, that's another reason I did the folk thing, was I could just do it myself. I don't need a drummer and a bass and practice time and get together, because I just never had time to do all that. And, but I love all that. So I love the Who and Pink Floyd and the Beatles and Bob Dylan and all the big bands. I love all that stuff, but I just play this stuff.
Nice. Very nice. So does
Hey,
anybody,
let's hear your song about driving a truck.
what was that?
Let's hear your song about driving a truck. I know you wrote one.
Yeah, I have all kinds of songs about different stuff, but not specifically driving a truck. I should though. I should.
You should. Well, what is your favorite song that you've written?
I don't really know if I have a favorite. No, I really don't have I can't. I mean, I'm on the spot. It's kind of like they're all different and they're like little pieces. So I don't really. I like them all.
Yeah. It's a good answer. It's a good answer. What's the one that you play? Is there something that you play most often when you do shows?
Well, I pretty much have like a set, like a handful, like, you know, if I do a show, it'd be like, you know, 12 to 15 songs. And like, I always want to play Narc Angel. I've been playing the song for Leonard Peltier every time since the last year. And I have some other I have a couple songs, like I said, about unfortunate suicides that happened when I was in the service. And I have a song called Troubled with the Earth, about how quickly how people sometimes they want the bumper stickers and all that stuff on their car. They're all for the environment, but yet they still throw trash out the window when they're driving, you know, that guy. So it's called My Life is Far Too Important to Be Troubled with the Earth, because it's only the air and it's only the dirt type of a feel, you know. So and stuff like that. I've got a song about traveling. You know, when I used to drive over the road, I'm a local driver now, but I used to go coast to coast, and I have a song about being out in Smith County, which is the last county in Texas before you hit the New Mexico line on I-40.
Oh no, we lost him again.
Shit. Daggone it.
A song about.
Sir, we lost you for a sec, Nick.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry
all.
about that. I'm sorry.
No, it's
about
okay.
that. Spotty
You're going
internet.
to New Mexico.
So
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a song. Yeah, the song about going into the last county before you go into New Mexico, Smith County. And I just thought it was interesting. Texas, kind of a name like Smith County, but that's, you know how it is out west, that names like that. But
so then you do have a song about truck driving, Nick.
yeah, I actually do. I do.
So see, now you have to play that. We got to hear that one.
Oh, I'm actually, I didn't think about that one. I'm kind of like not prepared for that one.
Oh, okay.
The other one I wrote is about traveling up the I-5 in California. I met a young kid who was walking. I say young kid, he's probably in his 20s. This is a number of years ago. He had a small dog and a backpack and saddlebags on the dog, and he was walking from Oregon south. And he wasn't like a hitchhiker or a panhandler. He was just out doing his thing, right? And I talked to him, and he was walking from Oregon to South California, just going to take all summer doing it. I just thought it was so cool, like the old days of just being out there, you know. So So I could do another song. Like I said, most of my stuff is sad. That's really my thing. Here's a song about a young Marine who on duty at one night commits suicide without any note or any explanation or anything like that at all. And it struck me so strange. First of all, the horrible idea of this, but when you stand post, we were sentries on Naval Base Pearl Harbor, and you like side gates and important doors had a sentry by it, and you would stand there and you had a podium and a logbook, and you would make entries like post 7 all secure, nothing unusual to report at this time, blah blah blah. And that line, nothing unusual to report at this time, struck me because right before he got off duty at midnight, he drew his service pistol and committed suicide. And I thought, nothing unusual. There's something unusual here. And I just wish, anybody could have helped him. But suicide is, and veterans to this day, every day, as you know, every day, every year, we lose so many people to this. And this is a song I call the 2330 Blues. 2300, post 13 all secure. There's nothing unusual to report at this time. He came from a town outside of Auburn. He joined the Corps on a whim, but the green machine was not his scene. He knew he'd sink if he didn't swim, so he plugged away for a year or so, struggling day by day. And although we'd not gone crazy yet, I guess he knew he was on his way. 2315, post 13 all secure. There's nothing unusual to report at this time. You'd never think he wasn't happy, but then you never know. I guess everyone's got pain inside, sometimes the pain don't show. Of all the things on his troubled mind, he never said what bothered him most. He drew back the slide on a 45 pistol and relieved himself from his post. 2330, post 13 all secure. There's nothing unusual to report at this time. Well, 10 men went out on the 8 to 12. One less man came in. The palm tree swaying, I was playing a humble version of Dust in the Wind. Well, everyone's got their opinion and everybody knows, but 1 mile as a crow flies might be 5 as a river flows. 2330, post 13 all secure. There's nothing unusual to report at this time. There's nothing unusual. There's nothing unusual to report at this time.
That was a good song.
That was amazing, Nick.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and again, may he rest in peace, and may all the people that are troubled like that,
Kimberly, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to say something regarding like Indigenous people and the suicide rate. In Indigenous communities, they experience a higher rate of suicide compared to the other racial and ethnic groups in the United States, and it's the 8th leading cause of death.
Oh.
So it's the second leading cause of death is cancer, which is mostly from the uranium, and which was what Leonard was on Pine Ridge trying to stop,
Right.
was the uranium drilling. But I really liked that song, and it was a good song. But it's kind of profound to think like nothing unusual at this time.
That's what struck me.
Yeah.
And I played that song and like the Narcan song and other songs. And after a show, we're milling about, people come up to me and say they have a connection. Someone in their family has done this, and it's like, and they say, thanks just for. And I'm not doing anything important or special. In my own, I get back to Bucky St. Marie, little wheel, spin and spin. They say thank you just for putting it out there, just so other, because it's like throwing a stone in a pond and the little rings go out. You don't know where they're going, so just do it.
Yeah, I always think about Leonard and I just think about it each collectively and how if each of us, all of the effort that we give, I think it makes a big effort, like you're saying, a little ripple or a stone, thrown. So does anyone have any questions for Nick or any comments that they'd like to make? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Any comments or questions? No?
I have one. Nick, I don't know, maybe you touched on this already, but did you come from a musical family?
I actually, in a way, did. My dad was a cantor at the church. So on Sundays, we think, the book. And I hope they're not listening, but I was raised Catholic, but I left it as a teenager. And I'm like, who makes this stuff up? I shouldn't say that, but I didn't like that. So, my brothers and sisters were both like trained, like, very good musicians. I don't read music. I pick around at it, so, but the music was around me, and my dad always played music, and we always had the radio on as a kid. And I was born in 63, so the late 60s and 70s, I'm seeped in all that music, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody's gonna come with you.
What was that, Sarah?
Your music is excellent.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for listening. And I have questions. Maybe I have a question about Leonard, and I thought about this. Bothered me. I thought with COVID and everything else, I know in his book, Prison Writings, My Life is My Sundance. Are there still the Sweat Lodge? Are they allowed to do this in the prison where he's at now? I know that's so important to Leonard and the others. Is this ongoing? Can they do that?
It's Dawn can probably, she has her hand raised, so she could probably answer that question.
Actually, I would like to talk about that. The lockdowns, Leonard has been locked down almost continuously for about a year now. The
Wow.
guards, they enter their vaccine status into the lockdown equation, and the testing for the guards is voluntary. So they bring COVID in, and the inmates are punished for the guards' behavior,
Wow.
which is illegal, but that's how it is. And solitary confinement is awful. I mean, it's just awful.
Yeah.
I like to say it's cruel and unusual punishment, but David brought up the point, it's turned into usual.
Yeah.
I love the storytelling thing. I love your music. Thank you. Have you thought about doing a song about the illegalities of what they are doing to Leonard?
I have not. I want to read more about it and learn more about it. Definitely be interested in doing something like that. I tell, like when I play this song, I tell people, I kind of tell a little story, a little spiel about it from what I know and what I understand. Just, and again, it's almost like standing on one foot. I want to get it out there quickly and get people interested in it. And also I want their ears to go up. Like if they, maybe 2 months from now, it's in the news. Oh, I remember that. I've heard that name. Like, so, because I'm on the outside, trying to put it that way.
Your music is very compelling. I
Oh, thank
mean,
you.
I put a web address in there. Leonard is asking everybody to send letters to the new BOP director.
Yes.
And I've got a sample letter and the address on there, and the UN just put out a statement that runs down everything. That is on the website. It's https freeleonardpeltiernow.com.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the Sweat Lodge. He did tell me that he did go, I talked to him last week, or no, he's been on and off lockdown for quite a while now. So he had one day out, and he did say he was able to go to the sweat lodge, but they haven't rebuilt it like in 3 years, so it's kind of collapsing and whatnot.
Right, good. I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear
but he
that.
was able to go to it. So
And the other question I had was, and when I read the story the first time about when Leonard and the people went through the culvert under the road, how big of a culvert was that? Because I'm not claustrophobic, but I kind of freaked out thinking, how is this? What was that like going? I mean, the biggest manhunt in like remembered history. Everyone's looking everywhere, and I love the part where they said they knelt and prayed and did this almost like under the power, under the like. Again, they made it. They made it through.
yeah.
I think that's a question for David.
David,
Yes?
Would you know, David,
Would you know?
how
Yeah,
big the
what?
culvert was that they went through when they were escaping from the assault from the FBI?
I have no idea. I know culverts come in a lot of different sizes, and
Yeah.
a lot of them are made out of metal,
yeah.
and they come in all different sizes. So it just depends on the roadway.
Well, I just thought of, like all the people going through it. I was just kind of thinking, oh my God, how like.
I wrote. I'm sorry. And do you know Auntie? Her husband was Bob Robidoux. Do you know how big the culvert was that they were?
No, I didn't think it was metal. I sort of saw it as like this two mounds of dirt, of earth. And you know how, like when you plow a field, you build up some dirt and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
okay.
they went like between these two areas, but it was an eagle that flew over, and they stopped and prayed
Right,
and
right.
talked about Joe. And then when they were through praying is when they went through that area and went up the sort of mountain. It's not really a mountain, it's just a huge hill. But when you're barefoot and running in that area, you know, it's very hard. Like Neelock said, you know, no, a lot of people didn't have shoes and everybody just took off running. But I don't think of it as a metal
Okay.
culvert, like a rain culvert is what you're talking about.
Okay.
Some of them are so tall, people could walk through them, but I've never seen anything big like that on Pine Ridge.
I see. But I'm glad they.
I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of Jim Page?
Yes, I have. Yes, I follow him online. I love his music. I
Right,
listened
you
to-
know, he had the first song for Leonard.
Yes, I read
and
that.
the song for Leonard, and then he did one for Annie Mae as well.
Right.
Both of them are really powerful. And I thought about him when I heard your guitar. That was
thank you.
very nice, very good. I thought, oh, you must have heard Jim. I can't hear you.
I think that your sound's out a little bit, Nick. We can't hear you right now.
Hello.
Yeah.
There you go. We can hear you now.
I always make a point to say that aside from the two FBI agents, it was Joe Killswright Stunts, because that's a name people. It's so easy to look past that because of the police aspect, and so I think it's important to always say that name so people hear it. Yeah.
Right.
I agree. Definitely. Joe, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to say thanks to Nick for sharing his music with us. Very inspiring, very good topics. So thank you a lot. And
Thank you.
and then as far as the sweat lodges, I hear that they're in most prisons that have tribal brothers. So I'm not sure they're in all prisons, but I hear that they're in also state and federal prisons. Just to let you know that.
That's good.
all. Thanks again, brother.
Right,
Thank
it
you.
was a big struggle to get them in. I know at Oregon State Penitentiary where Bob and Nacho were, that was a big, big struggle to get them in. And also to keep the states from allowing guards to cut off Native men's hair. That was another big struggle. But Lenny Foster, who was Leonard's spiritual advisor, had run sweats for him in almost all the federal prisons he was at, except Coleman, because they said he was his friend and therefore he couldn't run sweats for him. But the Catholic priest who had friends inside, there wasn't any problem with them hanging out together. But Leonard and Lenny, you know, the warden said, no, you can't do it because you're his friend. So you could just see, and a lot of times Lenny had a lot of discrimination against him. They said, you know, these were pagans and, you know, they weren't really a religion. They were just out there and so on and so forth. So even when they've had them, it's been a struggle to maintain them. The one at Dublin, the women's prison, the Native Sisters closed it because the warden said, well, anybody could go and sweat. And that's, you know, they said, no, you know, if we don't invite them, people can't just come in and sweat. It's not like just, you know, and so the warden said, well, either you let it happen the way I want it or you close it. So the sisters took it down and, you know, burnt all the willows and everything rather than allow the warden to tell them who could sweat there or not.
Right.
I was at Dublin, Paulette, in the 90s. I did time for bank robbery. I was robbing banks to pay for heroin detoxes. There are no detoxes any longer. But I actually picked up a witchcraft charge while I was in Dublin.
Wow.
The Jewish women had,
I didn't hear the last
I
part.
picked up a witchcraft charge while I was in Dublin. They put me in the hole. I told the chaplain I followed the goddess traditions and I wanted a candle. The Jewish women had them. He gave me one. But they took down my room, found the illegal candle, and they put me in the hole for witchcraft.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to be a Wicca inside.
Go ahead, Estelle, if you have a question or a comment.
Yeah, just a quick one. Nick, I loved your music. Thank you. That was great. You actually really touched me deeply on a couple of them. Are you performing outside of Michigan or, you know, what's...
I haven't in the last couple of years, I haven't really done anything like that. I have in the past. I have several songs. I have a song called I've Seen the Wall, which is about the Vietnam Veterans Wall. Yeah. And back in the early 90s, I got to go to Washington on Memorial Day and play it as part of the ceremony, which was an amazing thing.
Oh,
and
that day, that the National Memorial Day on PBS?
It was like 1993 or 94. Okay. They have a stage set up. They do it every year at the wall. Yeah. And but not the big orchestra stage. That's huge.
Oh, okay. All right.
Off to the side. Yeah. But that was an amazing because the wall itself is like it's like a shrine now. It is. So but no, so I traveled up there and I used to travel to, you know, the greater area, Ohio, Indiana, Chicago sometimes.
I lived in Michigan for a while. I went to MSU for a while.
Oh, right. Lansing, right? East Lansing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for listening.
Right here.
See? Yep. Yes. That's right. Michigan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, it has certainly been a pleasure. It's 8 o'clock already. Time flew. This was a little escape from our normal book club, and it was a joy, and I appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And if anyone can tell Leonard that I'm just another guy out here saying free Leonard Peltier. Now it's been too long and it's not right. And please let him go. Please let him come out into the world.
Yeah. So your webpage again is nickjuno.info.
It's Juno Music.
JunoMusic.info.
Okay. Yes.
And I just want to remind everyone about Leonard's vision for the food forest and permaculture, and to save Mother Earth for our future generations. So plant a tree, and thank you again.
you
Mr.
so
Juno, it's a
much.
pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you,
Thank
Nick.
Night.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. You have a wonderful evening. And next week is,
Thank you, Nick.
oops,
Thanks, David.
next
Thanks,
week
David.
is,
Nice to meet you, sir.
our next meeting will be, Catherine?
Yeah, be 20, chapter 20 and the epilogue. And then we
Yes.
only have one more to go after that, and then we're gonna start the new one on the prison writing.
And
So,
our future guest coming up, I'm not sure the order, but it's Marty Garbus, which is a lawyer from New York, and he represented the Chicago 7 and the Cuban 5, and also litigated in the Spirit of Crazy Horse for Viking Press. And then we
Oh,
also have, let's see,
I didn't know that.
and Ward Churchill. So
Wow.
that's very exciting. He'll be also be coming. So be on the lookout for that. And everyone, please come back. And you're welcome to come back anytime, Nick. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You have a
Great.
wonderful
Come back,
evening.
Nick.
Good night, everyone.